Hey guys, good morning. I did want to talk about Alibaba and just in general, just the Chinese stocks that have had such a massive move down ever since ever since just the bad news in China overall, and ever since back in October, because Chinese stocks have actually been suffering longer, ever since the peak in March. Like Alibaba, for example, it created highs back in October of last year, and ever since then, it's been creating a downtrend from there and hasn't really recovered. I do not think that it's time for Alibaba and Chinese stocks to recover, especially Alibaba. I think obviously it's being hit the worst, but I do think as of right now, that they are going to be hurting for a little bit longer. I do not think that they are going to recover yet. I do not think that I do not think that it's going to happen yet, right? I just don't think that they are going to recover, and I think that while you saw a small bounce from Alibaba yesterday, I do not think that they're actually going to be recovering as far as in the shorter term, right? I think maybe in the shorter term you can expect a small jump to the upside, but I think that you can definitely see another massive drop down to like 130 or so, for Alibaba. Last time we actually talked about this was around early August, right? And it actually created a nice little gap here around 212, 205, and I thought we were actually going to go back, retest it, and then drop down to 186. Turns out we actually stayed around this trading range and still dropped to 186 and then kept going. So that tells me that that Alibaba is extremely bearish because it didn't even want to fill that gap, that it created back here, right? And it's been creating massive gaps, right? So I think, if I don't want to say eventually it's going to fill everything, because when gaps like these when micro gaps actually get created like this isn't actually gaps that are created after hours, but these are gaps that are created during trading hours, during actual market trading hours. And usually these gaps tend to not get filled, because they happen so massively and in such in such big quantities that they don't really matter. So we can probably, like I said, we can probably go back and you can see all these massive gaps. For the most part, I'm not expecting any of these gaps to get filled, especially with what happened up here, with that big gap on the 212, 205, not getting filled for Alibaba. I actually think we're not going to be crossing over 169. I think we're going to be staying up here at these levels to 170 and dropping down to 150 pretty soon. I would be extremely surprised to see this. I would be extremely surprised to see Alibaba actually run back to 182. I actually think that from these levels, Alibaba is going to go straight down to 151, possibly break, maybe a little bit halfway, come back up to 150, 151, and then go all the way back down to 130. I do not think that it's going to rebound to the upside. I think Chinese stocks are still going to be hurting a little bit longer. The monthly chart, if we can see, look, it's still pretty darn bearish on the monthly chart. I would not expect Alibaba to recover at these levels right now. I mean, I still think there's still a lot more room to go down. To be honest, a lot more room to go down, and I would not be surprised to see, I would not be surprised to see Alibaba hurt for a very long time. I think there is major support. There should be major support somewhere. When things are falling like this, you can expect, you can start using monthly resistance and monthly support to kind of give you an idea of where it can head, right? So as of right now, I was using the weekly, but when things are dropping like this hard, you can start using monthly support just to kind of give you an idea of where it's going to actually have some sort of resistance to the downside, right? So like I told you guys, as of right now, I do not think that it'll actually bounce up to 182. I actually see it maybe staying around this trading range. At most, it'll go to 182. I don't think it's going to pass 182, but I think if anything, it's going to go to 182 and then drop all the way down to 150, and then from there redo TA and see if it actually has bear momentum to push to 130 to the downside. But I think for the most part, I think it's going to just kind of trade sideways here. The 4-hour looks like it's about to sell off, and the 1 hour. Actually, you know what? The 1 hour just hit a buy, so I want to see how that reacts today. I want to see how Alibaba reacts today. So, scratch what I just said. There is a slight chance that it'll actually rebound to 182, but I think ultimately you're gonna go back to 150. There's just too much pressure to the downside to actually do anything. I mean, even here, even on the 4 hour. I mean, you saw the 4 hour break to the upside, but it only moved about like $10. It didn't really move all that much. So I don't expect big moves on Alibaba side, even when it's in bullish territory. I think you're gonna see another sell-off soon, and I think you're gonna see Alibaba at 150 again. So at most, I think you can probably see Alibaba rebound to 182, but then I think eventually it's gonna come back to 170 and then to 150. I don't think it's gonna recover yet. You might see, like, best bullish case I can possibly think of Alibaba is to run up, touch something like 206, and then come all the way back down, because I mean it's still respecting trend, right? It's been respecting trend for months now, so I wouldn't have I wouldn't have any possible explanation as to why it would break the downtrend that it's on right now. It would not break downtrend. I don't think it's gonna break the downtrend, but I think at most it does 182 and then hits resistance, comes back down, or it just trades sideways and goes down. But again, ultimately, I think Alibaba still has a lot more room to go on the downside, and I think it could definitely see $130 in the next, I don't know, in the next maybe like 2 weeks or so. So I would not be buying Alibaba shares right now at this point. I still think there's a lot of weird stuff going on with China. As far as and actually with Alibaba CEO too. He's like nowhere to be found, and all this weird stuff is going on. So I don't expect big moves on Alibaba to the upside anytime soon. And for the most part, I think it's just gonna go. I think you're gonna see Alibaba just basically go down. I think it's gonna go back to 150, and then from there, I think there's a chance that it goes down even further to 130, where the next big major support is. So I'll see you guys later.